Hey friends, it's Russ here, having more Daisy Lever gun fun. And if you remember from our last video, I was doing an experiment inside of an old beat up Red Ryder. This gun was not clean inside by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, didn't even have that stock on it. I pulled that out of my little bin over here and put that on just so we would have something to simulate what a regular firing position would be whenever we're testing the gun. What I wanted to do was try to modify the air handling ability to improve performance on the gun. Well, as you know, it failed miserably. We went from in the mid to high 200s on muzzle velocity, feet per second, down to below 100. And that was no good. And what we did at that point in time, we took the plunger assembly inside, which was similar to the one you see here. We took out the air tube, and my theory was if I could put in something smaller, it would let more air out, not through the tube naturally, because it's solid, but around the tube. And if it forced more air around the tube, that would be more air that would build head pressure against the BB and throw it down the shot tube and out through the muzzle. Well, we know that that failed miserably, and we've had some communication with many good folks who gave me ideas as to why that could have happened. Everything from maybe we should have tried a different air tube to somebody who, and I can paraphrase here, hey Russ, don't be dumb. Think about the fact that if you're changing the diameter inside of here, more of the pressure may escape through the back end. Because as you know, when these things are tight, it minimizes any pressure going anywhere, but the path of least resistance would be out through the front. So I decided maybe I could work on those ideas a little bit. I took the gun apart again, took this out, obviously, and thought to myself, well, maybe I don't need that at all. Maybe we don't need that in there at all. If I wanted to force as much pressure through the front of this as possible, if I was going to do that much air handling, what I could do is plug up the inside of the cup, remove that little tube, and it would be all pressure going through the diameter of that abutment in the front. So that's what I did. I took the cup, I plugged it up, and just for good measure, I preloaded this factory spring. Spring was in pretty good condition, I must say. The main spring in there, pretty nice. Straight and really a strong one, not one of the weakest ones. This gun was made without the anti-bear trap. It did have the crossbolt safety, but at that point in time, I think they actually used a little heavier springs, at least as far as I could tell. Well, I did all that, and I test fired it a few times, and my chronograph was giving me readings of about 51 feet per second, so it was even worse than it was the last time. I decided to do some other modifications and see if I can come up with a combination that would give me better air handling, not with the standard high pressure air handling that we see in a lot of the mods, like taking one of the Cobalt springs and putting into it. Those are really good, really high performance springs. And also increasing the diameter on the inside of the air tube. But I didn't want to go to all the trouble of doing that or replacing the air tube with something special, something that needed to be either machined or purchased online. I wanted to see what we could do with what we had available. So what I did is I took the air tube, and this is pulled out a little bit so you can see what's going on. You see the air inlet port right here? It's usually sucked down inside of there. I thought, if I could just increase the amount of space for that. Now, I know there are dual port air tubes out there from some of the other models. But I thought if I could just increase that somehow, maybe more of the air pressure from this thing being shoved down through the air chamber would get in there faster. So I ground it back to about double its size. And I cleared that all out, made sure this was nice and clean inside on that gun, and that's what I used for the air tube on the original pressure cup. Then, just for kicks, I preloaded the spring with a 3/4 inch bushing. Of course, 1/2 inch ID, but 3/4 inch length. I preloaded the spring. Once I had that all set up, and I did do a little bit of cleaning on the shaft that the mainspring runs on, just to make sure that we minimized friction. I know I said I wasn't going to do any cleaning inside the gun and so forth because I wanted to compare Dirty Old Gun 1 to Dirty Old Gun Experiment. But I also wanted to give myself the advantage of making sure that that preloaded spring was going to have as much power as possible. So that's what we did. And lo and behold, instead of reading the original production, original performance on this gun that I was getting around 270 to 295, I was getting anywhere from 297 to 311 just by making those two changes. Those two simple changes that you can do anytime, increasing the size of the port right here and preloading the factory mainspring just a bit. Took it all the way up to a high reading of 311, and most of the time I was reading over 300. I was getting 303, 304, 306, 310, 311, and a few of the ones that were thrown in there were like 298, 297. So not bad. I think if we did a little bit more work on this gun, took a little bit more care, maybe did some work polishing out the shot tube inside, and taking more time with it, I could probably get that performance over 300 almost every single time, almost every shot. However, this gun looks like more of a project gun than anything because it has some issues. You can see things aren't very pretty here. We did have a problem getting some of the disassembly done, so this was stuck and we had to do a little bit on that. This was one that was made, I don't know if it was made with this metal cocking lever or not, but that's what was on there. I did have to replace one of the screws because somebody stuck one on there that was not just the right screw for the gun, but I don't even know where they got the doggone thing. It had an Allen wrench head on it, and it was all thread, and I can't even tell you the exact size of the thread because I don't think it was a 32 thread like it should have been. But this gun's worth saving. Has a lot of character yet, and you can still read some of the numbers on it. You can still read this. So no matter what we do with this gun, you know, I'll have to supply another forearm if we're going to go that route. Another band, because the forearm was missing, the band was missing. We've got an issue right here where this is dented up a little bit. Of course, this stock, I may have to replace that, or I can refinish this one. This is just a takeoff that I had laying around. One of the other screws is missing on top. But it's not bad overall. If it gives you any kind of good performance, I say if it shoots, it's worth saving. Okay, there it is, folks. So if you'd like to make comments about this, I'd really appreciate it. So this is experiment number 2 with the same gun, which is a success, sort of, after a few tries and a few combinations. Okay, don't forget to subscribe. And if you have anybody that you know who might be interested in seeing some of these videos, tune them on to it. We'll talk to you later. Have a great day.